Hey guys, it's been a while, but welcome back to Cooking with Mr. Jones. Since certain cellists especially are really intensely after me to do a pizza video, thought we'd take a moment on the Saturday afternoon to make some pizza dough so that we could use it and cook it on Sunday afternoon. So there you go. Okay, things you will need. You will need a food processor. You will need bread flour. It absolutely has to be bread flour. It can't be just regular all-purpose flour. It will not give the same texture or chew or crunch. It's just much better if it is. You need 400 grams of water, sort of room temperature water, not too cold, not too hot. 10 grams of kosher salt. So you can see I've got like some coarsely flaked kosher salt. This is what I like. 7 grams of instant dried yeast. This is like 1 packet of yeast, or if you measure it, it's a little more than 2 teaspoons worth of yeast. Then you need 15 grams of white sugar, 32 grams of olive oil, extra virgin preferred, and that's about it. So it's a pretty simple process here. Make sure when you're measuring ingredients that you weigh ingredients. For baking, it has to be really accurate. If you measure using cups or volume or stuff like that, it's just not going to be the same. So there you go. Okay, so now that I got all my ingredients weighed out and ready to go, I'm pretty much just going to dump them into the food processor over here. I'm trying to work carefully not to create a giant mess. Oh, a little mess. Okay, I'm going to create a little bit of mess. Okay, so there's 630 grams of bread flour. Putting 10 grams of kosher salt on one side. 7 grams of instant yeast. And putting it in the other side, sometimes it likes that because salt will actually kill your yeast. So if you put it on that side, it'll survive a little better. However, yeast really does like sugar, so I'm going to put the sugar right on top of the yeast. Give it something to eat, it'll make it super happy. And then for this version of pizza dough, we can just put in all the ingredients pretty much all at once. We don't have to go crazy trying to separate. Some people do a little more involved process. Now for me, this is going to be simple enough. So I'm going to pour in 400 grams of water. Just like that. I'm going to add my 32 grams of olive oil. So that's it. Now I'm going to put the lid on the food processor and make a big old loud noise. Here we go. Easy as that. So all you're really doing is you're trying to process this in the food processor for about 25-30 seconds maybe, and you're going to see a texture change in there where it starts to get like kind of sticky. It's going to stick to itself right here, just like so. And you can look and see if the texture looks about right. As I'm looking at this, I may want a little bit more flour. It seems a little bit too sticky for my taste here. So I'm just going to add a little bit more flour here. Pantry retrieval. So you never know, like you always have to adjust recipes like pizza dough based on local conditions, because what you may find is that right now, since it's monsoon season in Arizona, this flour probably has a little more hydration in it than usual. So you can either try and reduce the water, which is a really tough guessing game of how much, or you can just see if you can get the right amount of flour by adding a little extra. So I'm going to pop this on here, food process this a little bit more. I just want to see the dough really riding around the blade. So you're going to see the ball of dough kind of surfing on top of the blade, right like that. There we go. That's working. Yeah, see now when I pull this off, it's just a slightly drier texture. Not a lot, but just enough where it's going to be easier to work with. So, last step in this phase is I want to give this a little bit more of a knead. Pull this right out over here. I'm going to turn it out onto my working board over here, get everything off the blade, carefully remove the blade of the food processor. Please don't cut yourself on that. I don't want to get emails from angry parents be like, my kid cut myself on the food processor blade. And I have to be like, well, did you get delicious pizza out of it? Got a little extra flour to work in there. You always need extra flour for dusting on this sort of stuff. And then I'm also going to grab a big bowl with a lid so that when I'm ready to rise the pizza dough overnight, it's going to hang out in this lid. So now I'm going to take this guy, I'm just going to try and work a little bit of the last bits of the flour in there. As we're doing this, the point of this is to develop gluten. This is why we use bread flour, because bread flour has a higher gluten content than regular all-purpose flour. By developing gluten, that's what gives that chewiness, that texture, that crunch that makes pizza like such a magical, amazing food. As I'm kneading this dough, all I'm doing is trying to stretch it on the board a little bit. It doesn't take a ton of pressure. This is a really soft dough. You see, I'm using one hand to like pull back, stretch the dough just a little bit like that. As I'm doing this, I can already feel the texture doing the final change. We're starting to pull and spring back into its shape. That's how you know the gluten is there. Gluten is something that's very elastic. When you got it really nice and developed in some dough, the dough will actually pull and then pull itself back together after you stretch it out. So give us a couple more. Alright, boom, and there's our big giant lump of dough, just like so. Now I'm going to take this guy, mop up a little bit of the last bits of flour, and we're going to put this right in there. Boom, that's it. Okay, this needs to rest, ideally in a refrigerator, for about 20 to 24 hours. So let this thing chill out in your fridge for about 20 hours, maybe a little bit more, and then the next day you can divide it up, shape it up, and then turn it into pizza. It'll be delicious. Hey guys, it's Mr. Jones again. I'm back for stage 2 of making pizza. So you can see here I've turned out my dough ball onto my work surface. I've got my wooden cutting board right here. And now I need to divide the dough ball and then shape it into smaller dough balls so each one will be its own little pizza there. So I weighed up this dough ball, weighs a little under 1,200 grams. We'll see how it divides out off there. So, got my dough cutter here. Just gonna go right into it. Side in roughly half, then cut them in half again, and we'll see how this weighs. So really important to weigh this to try and get even sizes rather than just eyeball it there, because you won't. So I've got my scale over here with a little plate on there. Oh. I have to turn on the scale and zero it. There we go. Okay. So that says 239, that's pretty good. I think I said 225, 230. It'd probably be 235 to 255, depending on the size, if I'm doing my math right. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just don't want one to be 350 grams and then realize it won't fit in your pizza oven after that. So, I'll check on the other sizes. This 213, it's a little bit shy. Let's see what this looks like. Dude, that's 313, so I'm gonna lock a big chunk off this guy. Add to this, let's see what this is now. It's 276, let's get a little closer, let's see what the last one looks like. That's like 330, yeah, way too big. So big chunk out this guy. This over here. 90, let's get a little closer. A little extra on this. That's 277. It's about 275. I guess that's gonna be for 264. 270. That's pretty good. That's close enough. They're all within a couple of grams of each other. That'll be close enough for this purpose. All right, last couple of stages I gotta do here is I need to shape the dough ball. And there's a bunch of ways to do this, but this is the one I found the easiest here. I'm gonna put my thumb over the top, pull and lightly stretch the dough ball, rotate it, do the same. I'm always sort of pulling over my thumb to the center of the dough ball. And it's gonna start sticking to each other a little bit more. Some of the hydration, the water in the center of the dough sort of expresses itself through stretched out and all that sort of stuff. When I've got it sort of roughly in a ball, I'm going to push it upwards through my hand like that, right? So you can see I'm gripping it here, pushing through. See how that creates that nice smooth surface right there? That's what we want. That's what's going to let the dough stretch into a smooth dough ball. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to rotate it on there, using my hands to move underneath it, sort of tuck the dough underneath it itself. There we go. This gives this really nice, smooth, little pretty dough ball. And we're gonna let this rise. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this into a tray here that's already got a little olive oil. Use the dough balls to sort of smooth a little more olive oil around there. That's just so it doesn't stick to the tray. I'm gonna put a little bit on the top like that. And that's it. So once I got the rest of these all turned into dough balls, I'm going to cover them with lids. You can use smaller containers like Tupperware like this, as long as you have a tight fitting lid that will like keep air inside or outside and won't let anything transfer, then you'll get a good result. And I'm going to let it rise for about 2 to 3 hours and I'll be ready to shape the dough. There you go. Alright guys, we're back. The dough ball has risen and rested, it's ready to go. So I've turned it out onto my work surface again, and you notice I've got a big pile of flour. This is the same flour we used before, bread flour, not regular AP flour. The higher gluten content makes it a much better pizza. So now we're gonna shape the dough, we're gonna top it, and then we're gonna bake it, and we're gonna do all this stuff. So some of the tricks are that I'm going to use a specialized pizza oven that gets to about 900 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really, really hot. You can bake this style of pizza in your own regular oven at 500 or 550 degrees. But what you're going to want to do is put a pizza steel or a pizza stone in your oven. Worst case, you can use a baking tray turned upside down, like a baking sheet. Just turn it up over so that the raised part is going to be up, and get it as hot as you can for about an hour. You want that thing blazing hot when you cook this pizza. So there you go. So cook your pizza as hot as you can. Okay, got my dough ball here. What I'm going to do is turn it a couple of times in the flour so it's not going to stick to the work surface. And it's very poofy and kind of floppy, and I got to handle it a little bit gently right now. I'm going to turn it around there. Scooch some of the extra flour over to the side in case I need a little bit more. And then you can do this by hand, where you actually turn the pizza this way and open it up and stretch it this way. But for this one, I'm actually want a thinner crust, so I'm going to use a rolling pin. So if you use a rolling pin, you're going to wind up with a little bit thinner crust. Neither way is wrong. It just depends on your personal preferences. You don't want to go too thin. If you go too thin, then your pizza won't have any structure. I'm going to sort of stretch this out until about 12 inches, about a foot on each side. A little more of a stretch on a couple edges here. Flip over one time. There we go. So we got like nice soft pizza dough. It's going to be beautiful. Now I've got my dough ball turned and stretched out right here. So now I have to start topping it. So my first layer is going to be some pizza sauce. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm just using some jarred store-bought pizza sauce. This is perfectly fine. Just don't use too much. If you really feel like going full out, going from scratch, you can make pizza sauce like you would any marinara sauce. Some people like to use uncooked, but I prefer a little bit of cooked pizza sauce. This is going to fit the bill here. So I'm going to put about 2 decent-sized spoonfuls. No more than that. Then I'm going to start spreading it out here. You want really a thin layer sauce. Leave a little, like maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch edge around the pizza. Where you don't put any sauce, so that you
you get a nice like rising dough ring. It's one of the best parts of this kind of dough. It's gonna be really amazing. Bang. Just like that. And then if you go anywhere light on toppings, like be lighter in the middle of your pie than on the very edges there. The middle is gonna have the hardest time baking. Okay, next up, hard Italian cheese. So I've got Parmigiano Reggiano, but you could also use Asiago, you could use any sort of Romano cheese, like this will all work there. But this is basically hard Parmesan. I'm gonna grate it directly on here. Just a really thin layer over the whole pizza. This is gonna add a lot of salty flavor, some like funky cheese flavor. It's not going to give like the stretchy cheese feel. For that, we're going to use a little bit of mozzarella, but a little bit over there, and this gives a great base to your pizza. It really, really makes a huge difference. Next up, I'm going to use some mozzarella. I've just sliced some mozzarella. Get like fresh mozzarella from the store and get whole milk mozzarella. Trust me, don't go for like that half fat stuff. It doesn't really work great. And you want to be really spare with your mozzarella. If you put too much on there, your whole pie is just going to turn into a soggy mess. Like, it's nice to say, yeah, I love cheese and I want extra cheese and all the cheese, but if you put it on too thick and just go crazy with it, it will not turn out, it will not be recognizable even as pizza. I'm sort of going gentle, just like that. Yeah, not too much, just a little bit of pizza right there. Okay. Next up, because I'm making this for my wife and asked her what toppings she wants, I'm going to throw on a little bit of pepperoni. Again, don't go crazy. Don't try and go like stunt pepperoni like you're trying to imitate Pizza Hut. No, that's not good. Just get some so you can get like 1 to 2 pepperoni on each slice. Like, that's going to be pretty good. See, that's going to be plenty right there. Alright. Then, again, because I know what my wife really likes, I'm putting on some black olives here. So I've got black olives. These are just straight from the jar. Man, black olives are delicious. Mild, salty, briny. They're amazing things. Always so happy when I put black olives on the pizza. Get some on here. Some spread around. Alright, got black olives. Alright, and the last thing, when we were at the store earlier today and we were trying to decide what's going to go on pizza, one of the things we found that looked delicious is this blue cheese. So this is blue cheese crumbles. A few of these are going to make for really funky, salty, amazing flavor. Again, you don't have to go nuts, but just a little bit across the surface. It's going to interact with the pepperoni really, really beautiful. It's just going to be so good. Bada bing. Just like that. Okay, so we got our pie assembled, we got our pie topped. So the next stage, we got to take it out to bake it. And this is where it gets kind of funny. So this is called a pizza peel, and this is what we use in order to transfer the pizza from the surface we're working on to the pizza oven. When you put the pizza on here, you got to be quick, you got to be firm, and you got to not let it stick to the peel. If it sticks to the peel, it is basically trash. So this is like critical step here. So I'm gonna put my fingers under the edge. Slide the peel underneath there. You notice I'm always keeping it moving. So I'm kind of like trying to like keep the pie moving on pizza. And here we go. We're gonna go to the backyard. Ready? Okay. I've got my oven hot. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit so I can do the initial bake. Slide it in there using kind of a rocky motion. I've got another pizza peel. This is a different one. This is a turning peel. I know this is probably like super bright, a little hard to see. But the turning peel is just so we can turn the pizza inside of the oven. right? So it's smaller, it's got some holes so I can reach underneath. And I'm cooking this thing, the internal temperature of that oven is probably between 800 and 900 Fahrenheit. So it's gonna be really, really, really hot. I'm gonna be watching it like a hawk and turning it around and around. It was turned at like 90 degrees inside the oven. It's already starting to cause rising on one edge of the crust. There's a pizza stone in this oven. My wife got me this fancy pizza stone from Italy about a year ago, and it's amazing. I love it. It makes the best pizza crust. Round and around it again. If I want it hotter, I'll push it further in the oven. If I want it cooler, I'll pull it further out from the oven. Rotating and rotating. So I'm rotating pretty quick, maybe 10 to 15 seconds per 90-degree segment, and I turn it again. I'm going to do this a couple of times all the way around. The first time it's going to cause the crust to like bubble up and rise around the edge. Then the second time I do it, it's going to be to brown the edges of the crust and make it super crispy and amazing. That's what our goal is. Bottom, nice leopard spotting there. Cool. Now I'm ready to turn this back up a little bit more. Not too much, but just enough. I want to get the toppings nice and cooked through. Especially with pepperoni, you're trying to get the edges of the pepperoni a little crispy. That's what the best is. I already see I'm getting a little more browning on here, so I'm going to turn. Make sure I don't let it sit close to the really, really hot part of the fire too long. That's the edge. Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm just getting to it's risen nice, but it hasn't gotten browning yet. After the whole way around the pie, I got good browning. Yeah, okay, this edge here just came out, and that's got beautiful browning. There's going to be a few spots, like the nature of pizza like this, there's going to be a few spots that look burnt or charred, and that's just how it is. These little sort of imperfections that give it some charm there. Actually, a little more in this one. Backwards just a little bit. Now, if I get the pizza or the oven too hot, every now and then I'll catch the edge of the pizza on fire. If that happens, no big deal. Just blow it out and keep on going. Try this without adult supervision, kids. We're almost there. Bottom's looking pretty cooked through. Toppings are starting to get a nice browning on them. Pretty good. So I'm going to use the other peel again. Transfer it out. Look at that. That looks like a pretty good pizza. Okay, I'm gonna bake another one in a few minutes. So now all we gotta do is like take this end, slice it, and serve it. And there you go. That's how you make pizza.